Hello and welcome back to this will be episode 38 of the Melanie and Ben Show / Red State Blues. I'm host number 2, Ben.
And I'm Melanie over here.
Yep. And we just decided to make a little recording for the first time. It's not like anything's been happening or anything.
Not at all.
But yeah, no, we just thought we'd talk about what's been happening over the last couple months, about a million things. It seems like. Plus, I was actually kind of vaguely thinking, I've been wanting to podcast a ton, but it seems like getting a sitter is at the same time as wanting to do it, and then not having anything else to do at the same time is also incredibly difficult.
Yep, it is.
But we're figuring it out. Anyway, yeah. So currently, as of August, this is August 18th. Currently, Kamala Harris is the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party, and Timothy Walz is her VP pick. Former governor or governor of Minnesota, I guess it would be. Hopefully, will be former governor of Minnesota once he's elected, right?
Yep.
So,
hopefully.
And
finally, rural America gets a.
Yeah, right. He seems just great to me.
He seems great to me too. Like, all of the reservation is like, woo woo. His first teaching job was on Pine Ridge Reservation. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he reminds me a little bit in a good way, not in a negative way, but he has this like Minnesota sort of way about him. He reminds me a little bit of like a younger, more sports-oriented Garrison Keillor type character or something like that. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense. Yeah. I know he doesn't look anything like him or anything remotely, but he seems like he would have some really good stories, though.
Yep.
That's kind of what I'm getting at there. His personality, maybe. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Kind of like, and I think that just seems perfect, like, for somebody. He doesn't interrupt Kamala Harris and stuff like that when she's talking. I noticed he's like very respectful. He seems like he's just happy. Actually, honestly, I saw the interview between the both of them, where they kind of interviewed each other a while back.
Yeah.
And they a week ago or something, and he just seems so respectful. Like, they seem to have like really good, frankly, chemistry together as like a working relationship. Like, he's not gonna like step on her toes or get in her way or anything like that, which I think is, I assume, could be a possible issue depending on the person that they pick. I know that, like, going back out of that and going back to where we were just a few weeks ago here when Biden dropped out, I think that we were definitely proponents of like Gretchen Whitmer or Pete Buttigieg running, or having like sort of like an open sort of pick, like, hey, we got all these different candidates. But I mean, obviously that apparently the Democratic Party, rightfully so, realized that would be a mistake this late in the game. Mm-hmm. And they were right. She has completely motivated shit tons of people to come out in support of her, I think, and hands down she's not going to, it doesn't look, who knows what'll happen in the actual election, I suppose, but it looks like right now, she's going to win a lot of states potentially. There's states in play, at least, like that maybe weren't even in play before. Like I think it's like North Carolina, Georgia, maybe.
Yeah.
Some places like that in the South, or sort of the middle sort of region there, that are definitely sort of possibly could go either way. I'm excited though. I'm super excited. He seems like a great guy. She seems like the perfect person to be. Like, it's kind of an opposite type of situation as you think. She could kind of be like the hard ass. It's almost like if they were playing like cops. Like, she would be the bad cop and he'd be like the good cop. I don't know if that makes any sense, but they seem like the perfect duo to have like a cop show together. we're like, sorry, I know that's a weird analogy.
Yeah, but
Like they should be like on Law and Order or something. Like where he'll just be like, hey, look, I'll take the pressure off you if you just make a deal or something like that. And she's just like, no, we gotta get him. You know, like and they're like going after Trump together. You know, like it's like I literally think it couldn't be more well planned. Almost, you know, like they could make like a buddy cop movie together.
I kind of think it's, you were talking about Veep earlier. I think it's kind of like that, except for that I don't think Tim Waltz is going to sit in another office and just be over there. I think that they're going to be more of a partnership.
Yeah. I think
so.
you totally, it's almost like they're, and we have been talking about this on this podcast for years and years and years, that like rural areas need to be more recognized. And it's almost like she's representing in a way in urban America.
Yep.
And he's representing in a way a kind of forgotten rural America.
Yep.
That I feel like that's just like, oh my gosh, he's just like this really cool guy who's a huge liberal who wants to help people, who also goes like hunting and stuff like that. It's just like, dude, that's amazing. Like people like that still exist. You know, like it's not like every single person in rural America is just like some crazy neo-Nazi or something. And like the media I think has tended to, on both sides, I think that idea benefits
also,
both sides, you know, media tends to do. But yep, go ahead.
He's showing that, you know, a liberal can be patriotic. He served in the military.
Yeah, like 25 years or something, right?
Yep. He did. He's global. He taught overseas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Wow.
He taught, did like I don't know what it's called, a thing where you teach in China for a little bit, teach English in China.
Yeah, I did
brought
English
other
teaching.
people over
Oh,
to
that's
do
right.
that.
I think I do remember that. Wasn't he there like in 1989 or something?
Yeah.
Or the Tiananmen? Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's
Great.
awesome too, because then it gives him a bigger, wider perspective also. And I think he's just really nice. And back a few minutes ago, you were talking about Buttigieg and Whitmer. I was not a proponent of them leaving the state. I wanted them to stay right here, and I think Pete is really good at a lot of different things, and I think he could be very handy in a cabinet position.
I think he already is. He's the Secretary of Transportation. He probably should stay right where he's at in the new cabinet. Hopefully, he'll be able to just keep his job, and I think he's very, very... He's like a pro, apparently, at going on Fox News and just kicking their ass on their own shows.
Yep.
So he is just fucking amazing, I think, and hopefully he's... Yeah, hopefully he's going to hang around, obviously. I think, I hope that they have, like, a cool, awesome transition from the new cabinet, right, to the new government, from the old government to the new government, and kind of, like, you know, keep a lot of the same people. That's, of course, we're assuming an awful lot. We're assuming that she's going to win, which I think...
If Whitmer has anything to do with it, I'll just be honest. I can already see her thumbprint on her campaign.
Yeah, she's one of the...
Because a lot of it is familiar from when I went to one of her rallies in Lansing, and I totally feel that same vibe with her energy, bringing that energy to the campaign trail. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, larger than life almost, right? And then like Kamala's larger than life, and I feel like Gretchen's a little bit larger than life here too. But I actually... I think she's in charge of her campaign, right? Or she's duly in charge or something.
Yeah, something
she's
like that. Co-managing it.
Yeah, co-managing it. Yeah, she's totally involved on every level here.
Yep.
So, hopefully, obviously, she'll stay our governor till her term's out. And then maybe she'll get a cabinet position.
So, I'm super glad that we put out in the zeitgeist a while back about the Rust Belt needing attention.
Yeah, I'm really sick of
the party, and I'm glad that they're somehow out there they listened and got Tim Waltz involved.
Yes, they did. Actually, I feel like somehow we didn't have anything to do with it, but I feel like just talking about it on this program is like actually opened up a couple eyes, a couple ears. Like it's just like, and somehow the butterfly effect.
Put it in the universe.
Put it out in the universe. Like it reverberated and came back, and like I know that we don't have any direct impact, you know, us that are like 5 listeners, but like I'm really, 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 really happy. I feel like the Democratic Party is finally listening to, I think, what really is like 30 to 40% of the population in rural areas are Democrats or liberals at least, and or even far left even, and they're just completely, for all of our lives, they've been completely underrepresented and unrepresented, frankly, completely, like, I would almost say left out of the political process entirely. And this is something that's finally, I feel like it's a bit of a sea change too.
And also ending the neoliberalism is a good thing
yeah,
too. Because that did not benefit rural areas.
No, closing down manufacturing in the United States did not. That was a neoliberalist concept that's been going since the 80s, right? And the Clinton administration really was a proponent of that, unfortunately. And that just, they never had a backup plan for what people were going to do.
Right.
You know, in the Midwest, basically. Like, what the hell were people going to do with their lives? And, like, it would have been great if everybody could have went to college to become computer programmers. But I just think that, like, that was not a realistic option.
No.
For most, anyway.
And the pay.
And it's, you know.
Replacement from working on being able to afford a house and take care of your kids and stuff on one paycheck, and when they got paid well in a manufacturing position, and then they went away, and then what do you got? McDonald's?
No, you can't. You cannot even.
You can't do that.
What they made, like what a factory worker made in the 80s.
Union jobs.
Was like what the equivalent of like a double income household makes now or something if you adjust for inflation and everything. Like it's like not even comparable. Like you can't replace those jobs, those union jobs with either really shitty manufacturing or retail. You can't replace those.
No.
So I think that that's something that they're going to start focusing on way more. Bernie Sanders, I think, has been hyping on that for forever, and no one's listened to him, but now people are a bit, and
I think the pandemic also taught us as a nation that having everything, pieces coming from everywhere, is a national security risk. Obviously. Because if we had to do anything like we did in World War II, where we had to switch over the manufacturing to make stuff for that, we wouldn't be able to do that because we have no manufacturing anymore.
Frankly, we would not be prepared for a conflict. I mean, it would appear.
Yep.
I'm not going to say for sure. Obviously, we can change a lot in our country.
Americans can do some things.
But right, yeah. But I mean, it would appear that we were ill prepared or underprepared. If I don't think World War III is going to happen or anything, but like even if it did, if there was a need for like huge, massive mobilization of people and
even
things,
for another pandemic
and machines, like we would have a hard time, a very, very, very difficult time. I think the pandemic, you're right, absolutely showed our weaknesses, and the whole world's weaknesses really, and our complete and utter reliance on China. Anyway, getting back to what you were saying there, I think we were reading Heather Cox Richardson's emails, and she was talking a bit about these things. What was that you just said? Before this, you kind of went off.
I kind of went in a circle about getting neoliberalism.
Yes, that's right. Neoliberalism. I think that she really brought that up. That's now. In one of her emails, neoliberalism is now almost considered like an antiquated notion, and that is the concept of neoliberalism, not in the sense of like socially liberal, not politically liberal, but in the sense of like liberalism as far as when it comes to capital and like money being just transferable anywhere you want it to be. I think like that concept is going away, and it's showing the concepts of neoliberalism that have been tried since the roughly early 80s all the way up until the almost close to the present day have really allowed for the rise of oligarchs. So it's around the world for insanely rich, wealthy individuals to just hoard all of their money, to transfer it to any country, to just buy nation states, to move around. Elon Musk is an example, but I think that there might be others, like, and it's also allowed for these dictators like Putin to rise, and in China also for the massive accumulation of power and wealth at the very tippy top of their societies. That I think there was this naivety about it, like in the 80s and 90s when they were thinking about this stuff more, like, oh, we'll just have capitalism spread everywhere or something, and just move money everywhere and move factories anywhere and make nothing matters. But like that's all been like completely disproven at this point, utterly. It's done is like allow the rise of insanely powerful authoritarian regimes, really, and incredibly rich oligarchs. Yes. As
in our country, as they broke up unions, they took away unions' ability in certain states to get funding and stuff from their workers and stuff like that. Those kind of policies, when they started shrinking the middle class, the amount of money these oligarchs have now is not even comparable to the robber barons of old. I mean, they have more money than Midas, King Midas. At
Yeah,
this
well,
point.
I think the thing is, she keeps pointing out that like they. I actually think if it wasn't for the trust busters and like Teddy Roosevelt and that era, like the people that like own Standard Oil and stuff like that would be that rich now.
Mm-hmm.
They would be like modern day just Midas basically.
Mm-hmm.
But the government intentionally went in and like destroyed them and broke them up. And that's what the government finally is doing now under Biden,
Right.
and hopefully continually under Harris. I'm sure that probably will be the case. I don't think we're going to see a reversion back to neoliberalism policies of the 90s or anything. What? Go ahead.
Yeah, you cannot have a company or a person like that have that much power and money
Yeah.
when it's more than actual countries have, because then you're losing the balance basically for democracy.
It's fairly clear, I think, at this point that Elon Musk likes the current situation and people like him
Yeah.
too. And they do not want it to change. They don't want to see their rough. Not that he kind of does have monopolies in certain sectors. He practically controls the space program at this point.
SpaceX, yep.
And he also pretty much controls the internet. He's made it so, and he's going to control the automobile industry, or he's working towards it. And I feel like that's because he's gotten, and he's a very smart guy, and I actually see why. I mean, in that sense, yeah, he saw electric cars coming a million years ago, and for some reason, the major automotive manufacturers were just like, oh, that's dumb or something. I don't know, because they're idiots. But guess what? Everybody wants them, you know. So he controls that sector almost. It's kind of insane, but they can't let the people like that get too big for the britches. Anyway,
No.
I was connecting it back around. Sorry to just kind of randomly keep going on tangents. I'm not attempting to do that. But trying to connect it back around to Trump's VP pick. That would be J.D. Vance.
Yes.
Who I feel like, and I think many feel like he is their. He wasn't really essentially Trump's VP pick. He was really more like the Silicon Valley tech bro Elon Musk VP pick.
Yep.
And that's like they want their golden boy in there to essentially keep allowing them to just do whatever the hell they want to do. And it really, in the end, I mean, if you really, really go down the rabbit hole with this, I mean, the end of it would be essentially not really having a democracy in the sense that we would recognize it anymore. I mean, I don't think that they would advocate getting rid of the Senate and House of Representatives, but I think that they would probably advocate having an executive branch that's in a permanent stasis of people that are, you know, essentially that would make it us a monarchy. You know, that's essentially the Trump family, you know, would end up just in power permanently. Or people selected by people like Elon Musk, you know, like J.D. Vance and stuff. So
yeah, J.D. Vance too is like a fake rural America person who he pretends to be from the coal mining state, and he really grew up in Ohio. I mean, just a comparison real quick.
Yeah.
Tim Walz is more rural.
Yeah.
More grew up in the rural sticks than J.D. Vance, and nobody is questioning that, unlike J.D. Vance's
definitely.
He is in charge of trusts now. He is a millionaire.
And he's quite a millionaire. He's very, very, very rich. Yes.
He's not on your side.
No, he is. I mean, he might have grown up middle class. From what I understand, he grew up in the suburbs in Ohio. He didn't grow up necessarily poor, but he didn't grow up necessarily rich either,
But
right?
where did he go to
definitely
college,
had
Ben?
some advantages. I obviously, yes, I know.
Yeah.
He did go to elite Ivy League institutions.
Yep.
That definitely connected him into the very, very fortunate financial sector.
Yeah, so
of
like
America.
if
Yep.
if you're a voter who's worried about cleaning out the swamp, you would not want to vote for him because he is in the swamp.
Yeah,
He is connected to all of those people.
He
So.
pretty much is those people.
Yep.
I don't really know how else to put that either. That's just connecting that background. That's basically the stark choice that I feel like we're left with. That essentially, it's like if you're voting for the one party, I don't know how to explain this very well to people who wouldn't agree with me, though, unfortunately. I feel like if you're voting for the one side, you're essentially voting for a monarchy. Or
fascism
it might be a
policies.
constitutional monarchy, but it would still be a monarchy, or fascism, like you said. I'm not really sure exactly what they just want to be able to do what they want to do.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's not fascism in the sense.
Project 2025 is
Yes,
pretty fascist.
that would be. I think Project 2020. You're right. I don't think we've even talked about that too much before, but
Yeah.
But I feel like that is. But I think that in some ways I think that greed is the driving factor.
Correct. And
I think more than anything else. I think they're using things like Project 2025 to get religious people to vote for them.
so
I think
that
they'll do
then
whatever
can
they
have a
can do.
serfdom.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want to do to just get into power and use greed. Just getting wealthier and wealthier. They just want to be kings of the planet, apparently, or something. I don't know.
I can convince people right now of if you live in rural America and you are living on A, Social Security, B, disability, or C, you have to be on food stamps because you've lost your job and you like unemployment. Any of those things will be taken away. It's written in the Project 2025,
Yeah.
900 and some
Which,
pages.
by the way, again, I will say. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so like most of the people that are in rural America that think they want to vote for somebody like Trump really need to consider their income and what they live on, because those are the things that should be deciding it. Who's going to put food on your plate?
But don't you
table?
see, it's only going to take it away from the people that don't deserve it in their minds. It's not gonna hurt
You mean like
them. It's Project 2025 is only. It's about hurting people who deserve to be hurt.
Yeah, but no.
You know, like that's
No.
what they think.
Yeah,
it's
but
not gonna
that's not how it
affect,
actually works.
It's not going to affect them and the people they love.
Oh yeah, but it will.
They're all right.
Yeah.
They're the good ones.
Mhm.
You know, like they play by the rules.
Yeah.
They they're not cheating. You know, it's only going to hurt those dirty whoever. Apparently, they would think. You know what I mean?
Other people.
Other people.
But it isn't.
The other. We'll say that.
Everybody in America, in the Heritage Foundation's document, with the Project 2025, everyone in America who is not an oligarch is the other people that they want to suck the income
Yep.
from and make all those quote unquote other people in America their serfdom.
I think as soon as you start calling people out based on their immigration status, and then you could actually start going back and their genealogy or something, because they want to get rid of the concept of a natural born citizen, which is the most anti-American thing I can think
Yes.
of. Natural born citizen being somebody born in the United States is automatically a citizen. They don't like that. So I guess at this point, they could say anybody who they really just don't agree with is an immigrant or descended from. And then so they could say I'm not a real American.
Well,
Or you're not a real American, or anybody listening to this is not a real American.
Trump's parents
based
must
on
not have been either.
Oh, your grandparents only came here in 1903, or your grandparents only came here in 1803, 1703. How far back do you want to go? You must not. If you're not friends with the right people, if you don't hang out in the right social cliques, guess what? You're not a real. You're not.
real
Yeah,
America.
you're not part.
American.
You're not a real American, man. You got to go.
Yeah.
Your ancestors might have come from Canada. Oh, you're not a real American. You know what I mean? Oh man, you're just, and that's I think that's the nth degree. I mean, they would say, oh, we'd never do that. I'm sure, but
They do say that, and then the thing of it is people open your eyeballs and look at other places where there's people that are dictators in control, because they said if you look at their campaigns, they're saying exactly the same things that Trump is saying, and then when they get into power, they start just randomly.
Well, if you look
getting rid of
if you look at
whoever.
Nazi Germany, that's exactly what happened too.
Yeah.
If you go into the worst totalitarian state, right, reputationally wise of all time, they didn't just go after. They would use the word, "Oh, we hate the Jews," but then I think roughly wasn't more half the people in the concentration camps, just other random politically affiliated or even non-politically affiliated people, gypsies, and just not even that, just people with brown hair, even people that just didn't like the look of them. They just throw you in there, be like, "Oh, your ancestors weren't quite German enough," that's. But I will say this, and I hate to defend Trump too much. This is where I think he is not as much of a danger as Hitler was. I don't believe that Hitler wanted to remake the world. His primarily motivating factor was not just greed. I almost think greed is a weakness, and that is Trump's and his cronies, everybody else around him. Their primary motivations, I feel like, still are greed. Like, it's so silly, but like they want to become fascists to be just greedy bastards, and like that makes him somehow that's somehow, I feel like, a weakness there. Like, that's almost like a key to like undoing him in a way. That, like, I feel like the fascists of the old days didn't necessarily have that kind of weakness as much. Like, they were actually on like some sort of quest to like completely remake humanity, which is completely insane.
That may be true.
So, like,
that may be true about Trump. But the one thing that I want to point out here is, even after this election, say he doesn't win and he accepts whoever does win, I think that the true problem here is that the Heritage Foundation still exists, and they're still going to be pushing
get a lot of money.
Judges and Senate members and all over the country to try and get these tenets that they believe are good, which is take away everything from everybody and you are a serf. And so we need to really be aware of that beyond this election, because they have been working for years to be able to get to this point, and they will continue, and they will not quit. And the Koch brothers, like, willed money to them and trust to try and make this happen even after they died.
They're dead, yeah. So like, I believe you. Like, there's gonna be tons and tons of money pouring in for years and years and years. And I do feel like you're right. That's probably more about the judicial branch at this point. Like I kind of think that, like, they're really interested in the Supreme Court. They're really interested in judges. They're really interested in getting their case heard before a sympathetic judge. Because it, kind of what I was getting at too, was kind of because they know the population isn't really, the bulk of people are not really behind them in their beliefs anymore. And I'm not sure that they ever really were, but they can't, like, in this state, I think it's an example. It's like a role model state for eliminating gerrymandering, eliminating all of these things that benefit a minority of people, that now on an equal playing field, as Michael Moore likes to state all the time on his podcast and in his Substack, they are the majority. The liberals are the majority. It's just, and it has always pretty much been that way. It's just the government itself is not an equal playing field.
Correct.
So yeah, they're going to try to go any other avenue, subverting democracy
and subverting
to get
the law.
through. Yeah, even if they can, they'll cheat, lie, cheat, and steal. Right.
Yep.
Sorry, 30 minutes just like passed, and I'm like, what the hell even happened? I'm like, this just like blew by. We just like went on a we have a lot of pent up aggression towards not aggression. No, I shouldn't say that.
Stories,
a lot of just pent up things we want to say that we just never got a chance to say. Oh my God,
that's one thing that I think that the what's that lady's name that's doing the monopoly cases?
Lena Khan.
Lena Khan
is the current chairman under Biden of the Federal Trade Commission.
She is really trying to...
she's old school.
In a little crack in their system there, because they literally... Let's just give you an example. Our food system in America, all of it, like the meat, the wheat, the everything, all the commodities and the products that are made from them are 4 companies. Four companies control everything we consume.
Most of it's down to 4.
And that is dangerous. And that's why our inflation is so high. Why, when you go into the grocery store, the prices are so high, because they're colluding with each other. So people like her are trying to break up the monopolies so that they can't do that to us in the markets anymore.
It's arguable that a lot of in what she's using are laws that were placed on the books over 100 years ago at this point, even under like the Teddy Roosevelt administration and the trust busters and all that. And there are many, many, many laws that they're starting to dust off the books that they're looking at. Now, I mean, I don't know if you've seen it in the headlines, but they're looking at Google now as a monopoly. They're looking at mostly Google, actually, but just several different Silicon Valley companies,
Amazon too,
that are definitely in the sites. And I think that that's where the people who selected JD Vance are definitely heavily involved with invested in those companies. And they do not want to see this continue.
Correct.
It is, and they will lie, cheat, and steal. And so it's not just the old money. Their old money in America. I mean, it's not just the Koch brothers, though. It's not just the Rockefellers or whoever it is, who are heavily invested in the system. It's the Silicon Valley people that they're freaking out now because they're seeing like themselves getting the sights in that way, and they want the new type of Democrats out. They don't like Biden and they don't like Kamala, and they're different. They're different. Like if you look at in fact, I was watching a video. We don't have a lot of time left here. We're trying to keep it under 30 if we can. But in fact, I was watching a video about Lena Khan's predecessor in the Federal Trade Commission, and under Obama, I don't even know who did it under Trump, but under Obama, she was really just very much play nice with corporations, very much just like, oh, they have the right to make money, let Amazon be Amazon, let people be happy, let them do what they want to do, and they've just gotten bigger and bigger, and that was under Obama. Yep. Like those, I mean, I love Obama, but that he was very much an extension of neoliberalism, and that sense of those neoliberalist sort of just let everything capitalism be capitalism and let it go, and like that's the Biden administration. I think in some ways has been the first time in our lifetime actually that there's been like, whoa, a pushback, a pushback against all of that. Like, whoa, should we just let corporations completely dominate our entire lives, anymore? Like, there's a question there. Right. And I think a lot of that has to do with the younger generation, the younger voters, actually taking a bigger role, and people under 40, people, what I mean? That's the millennials and younger anyway, and that's amazing, actually. Like, they're actually sitting back and questioning it for the first time. Where I have to say, our own generation, Gen X mostly, is very much much more apathetic, frankly.
I have something to say to you guys.
Apathy is more of our thing, but yeah.
I know in our youth we were all thinking that our votes didn't matter and what we do and didn't matter, but you know what? We could have changed things ourselves if we would have pushed more in the system, like lawsuits that go through that are first, changing economic policies, and you have to go with like trying to lobby senators for different things, like to help your rural areas. If we'd have been able to do that and understood that better back then, we maybe wouldn't be in this position now. So now that you're back there in your recliner, you guys, and your knees are creaking, you need to like get up and start actually doing something. Do not think that you need to burn it down to make things better, because you don't. You just need to do what you need to do. You need to vote. You need to call your senators and congressmen about what you're concerned about.
Yeah,
let
actually,
them know. They have to
listen.
take it into consideration, even if they're not part of your party. They are there to represent you.
Yeah, they are.
So.
Yep. You're their constituents.
Yeah.
Whatever, and yeah. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people would completely disagree with us on a lot of these issues, and no matter what we say, we can't win. I've disabled the comment sections at this point on multiple YouTube videos because I'm just like, I don't even want to deal with it. But I know they say that's a bad idea because we're not engaging with people very much. But I'm just like, you know what? I just want to say my piece. I didn't come here to. You know what? You want to say your piece? You start your own podcast.
Yeah, start your own podcast. And
I didn't.
We
I didn't
don't
come
even
here
expect
to
anybody to listen to us at this point, but we can put it out there in the universe.
Yeah. That's all I'm doing. I'm not here to win debates in comment sections.
Nope.
That I just frankly I don't have time for.
There's too much actual work to be done.
We got that too, but I mean we got lives. You know what I mean? Like we can't just sit in the comment section in the basement all day, fighting with people.
Stuff to do.
Yeah, so sorry about that. I have a little chip on my shoulder about that. But obviously, I'll try to let that go. I really feel like our generation could benefit from could learn from the younger generations a bit. For people younger than us, actually, and don't try to, and maybe even people older too, and that's frankly too, the baby boomers, you know what they do? They vote. Like, their voice matters. You know what people our age do? They don't vote.
They complain on
the internet. They complain on the internet about things and don't do shit.
Guess
And
what?
then they've always done that ever since I've been in high school. It's been like that.
Yep.
Probably. Yeah, like we just like it's just
You feel
complain
better
about
once
things.
you make a comment on something, but really that doesn't do anything.
You sit back and make a comment on the internet. It doesn't do shit.
You need to get involved with your county's
yeah.
party of your choice. You need to get involved in voting. You need to get involved with the candidates that you have. Talk to your people.
If nothing else, so just on election day or on election week or whatever it is now, just show up. Yeah, that's the key. Obviously, tons of people are going to disagree with us about all of this, but I just that's how I feel anyway. Do we have anything else we want to talk about?
A lot, but I think we should probably.
I think it's time to wrap this up. Children are waking on this beautiful morning, so thank you very, very much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. No, I don't even know because I was gonna say we connected the podcast to YouTube obviously a while back, so it's on there. But we don't. I don't know. We don't make a video or anything. But yeah,
you can always email us at benandmelanieshow at gmail.com.
Yeah,
and you can comment on our Facebook, Red State Blues.
This is a really kind of this was a good episode.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that we actually got to talk about these things finally. Yep, we didn't even get to like half of the stuff that's happened in the last couple months either.
There's too much stuff.
We just we didn't even we didn't get to the assassination. We didn't get to like the whole
assassination attempt.
Him, all that the stuff with that guy. We didn't get to anything. But oh man, I think I hear the wrap up music though. So okay, all right. I think that means it's time to stop. Okay, all right. Bubba Pete.